Let me begin with a story time. A friend of mine who is not a Lolita and not an internet person, but is still very supportive of my content, was watching my WikiHow video on how to be a Lolita. And when she finished watching it, she turned to me and said, "Lore, where's part 2? Where's the part 2, Lore?" And I said, it's coming? And here it is, 3 years later. Yes, I completely forgot that there was more to that video that I wanted to make and that there was more of WikiHow to go through. I just make so many videos and so many different types of videos that I often lose track of what I have planned to make a follow-up to. So if there's any video or topic that you are waiting on me to make and you want me to come back to, please let me know in the comments. Please remind me. Also, please let me know if you watched that video and you have been waiting for this one, because I'm really curious. Did everyone else just forget too, or? Hold on, I'll give you a little refresher on my last video since it has been 3 years. So in the first part, we learned the basics of Lolita fashion and we broke down each of the pieces that go into a coordinate, and the information was pretty accurate. I was shocked. I went into this expecting it to be all wrong. Actually incredibly helpful. I think that this is a really good resource. And so I'm curious to see if the rest of it follows suit or if it just goes off the rails. We'll see. Before we dive into things, I want to share a quick message about today's sponsor, Native. I've been using Native deodorants for over a year now. I recently switched to their plastic-free deodorants, and my favorite scent right now is the lilac and white tea. It's just really light and sweet and warm and cuddly and cozy. Native has more to offer than just deodorants though. They also have a great line of body washes, and I have been using these for about 6 months and I really love them. Native body washes are made with clean and effective, simple ingredients that are easy to understand. They are phthalate and dye-free. They are also vegan and cruelty-free. The texture of these body washes leaves your skin feeling soft and hydrated, and froths up a luxurious lather without any sulfates. This can also make a great addition to any bubble bath. My favorite still is the cherry vanilla macaron. It smells like childhood. It is very fruity and sweet. I've also been enjoying the coastal oak and amber, which is a new scent to me when I want to be more natural and less fruity. I also tried out the sandalwood and shea butter, which I really enjoy, but I don't feel like it's a scent for myself personally. It gives a bit more of a rugged outdoorsy vibe, which I feel like I would appreciate on someone else more than personally on myself. It's a great scent, it just doesn't feel like a me scent, so this might be good for you if you feel more rugged than me, if the sounds of my scents is a bit too intensely sweet. This could be a great gift for someone in your life who has more of that rugged, rough and tumble appeal. Use my link and code to get 20% off your first purchase at Native. This is available site-wide, but only for a limited time, so stock up and save. Thank you so much, Native, for continuing to support my content. I really appreciate it, and now, on to the video. Part 2. Picking a specific Lolita look. The drawings seem to have an extreme disconnect from the information. They don't seem as accurate, but I think that they were drawn by different people, and I'm pretty sure that they are kind of like overlays of photos, because this picking a specific Lolita look, I feel like I've seen the photo that this is based on a bunch of times. Try a sweet Lolita look. The most popular style of Lolita. It often features light colors and light-hearted motifs. Common motifs are bunnies, kittens, sweets, bears, and clouds. It sounds like I said clowns, but I said clouds. I wish that clowns were a more common motif in Sweet Lolita. True. Accurate. Valid. Step 2. Experiment with Gothic Lolita. This type of outfit is the longest lived out of all Lolita styles. It's pretty modest, characterized by a bell-shaped skirt and puffy sleeves, and a darker makeup style. Gothic Lolita outfits are either black or muted and sometimes have vibrant accent. They feature rich fabrics and detailing. True And not true, because they didn't mention motifs in this description, and motifs are really what make Gothic Lolita Gothic Lolita. You can't just take a dark black colorway of something and say that it's Gothic Lolita. The elements that are in the print are what's important. Some Gothic motifs are like coffins, bats, cathedrals, a lot of architecture, just generally things that you associate with Gothic themes. There's also a lot of misconfusion with old school Sweet Lolita being mistaken for being Gothic because it's black and white, because it's black. And you can style black and white old school pieces in a Gothic way, but you can also do it in a sweet way. So really, like, the silhouette of it, the bows, the features of the dress, and your overall, like, through line, like, what is the style that you are going for, that's what makes something Gothic Lolita versus bittersweet Lolita. Also, the term Gothic Lolita or Elegant Gothic Lolita, EGL, was used as an umbrella term for all Lolita fashion before more specific sub-styles emerged, which is why there can also be some overlap and confusion with old school. Step 3. Attempt a classic Lolita style. I like how they said experiment with Gothic Lolita style, try with a sweet Lolita look, and now attempt a classic Lolita style. This is like a call out to me, I feel, specifically, because every time I try to attempt classic Lolita, I end up being sweet, because my love of Lolita fashion, my love of art, a lot of it comes from kawaii culture and then also Rococo, and I think that a lot of classic Lolita takes from different time periods. So let's see from reading this if I can figure out classic Lolita. Unlike most other Lolita styles, this sub-style more often utilizes an A-line skirt rather than a bell-shaped skirt. The color scheme and styling are generally more mature than sweet and more classic than Gothic. More muted colors, florals, and wallpaper patterns are common, as are classical art themes. I think that this is a good point, but I'm also like not the right person to judge whether classic Lolita information is correct. That is an interesting point about the actual silhouette of it. I do feel like that is correct. A lot of classic Lolitas have that more A-line silhouette. Try a country style Lolita. This section isn't as much following step-by-step procedure, it's just listing off what the sub-styles are. And I think it's kind of funny that they're just like, try this style, try it, you'll like it, because it's definitely not that easy. It's kind of undermining all of the work that goes into just trying a sub-style. Unfortunately, there is no ice cream style Lolita store where you can just go in and sample each of the flavors. If you are going to attempt a sub-style, that involves a lot of research, a lot of preparation and planning and saving money, because you're gonna have to buy the shoes, the leg wear, the dress, the petticoat, anything that goes underneath the coordinate, the main piece, I think I already said dress, blouse, headwear, wig if you decide to wear a wig, and jewelry, if you, like all of the pieces. And when I started off in Lolita, I had this really grandiose idea that I wanted to try every single style, and it's just not realistic because each style needs specific ingredients. I don't think this is necessarily wrong because they just have to give this information somewhere. To add on top of this, before you fully try a sub-style, you should just research it and see if it's something that suits you. I've heard from a lot of beginners just being lost in what sub-style to go for, which a lot of older Lolitas are like, how do you not have like the drive for a specific style? Because a lot of us, we see like a specific print, a specific dress or coordinate, and we're like, that's what I want to wear. And it is hard when you do want to wear multiple different styles. I think a great place to start is to look at the wardrobe that you already have. Are there things that you can use? Is there a style that you're already comfortable with that you can sort of turn into your Lolita style? If you're already wearing Gothic clothes, it's really simple to put some of those shoes in a Gothic coordinate, use that leg wear, use some of those blouses. If you have a completely different style, it's going to be more difficult for you, but you can still look at resources like GLB through Lolita history and just look at different styles and see what you could see yourself being comfortable in. Part 3, being a Lolita. Remember, anyone can be a Lolita. Lolita fashion is a very accepting subculture, and your looks, race, age, weight, and gender doesn't matter. Anyone who fits the dressing criteria is welcome. You can't be too ugly for the style. The focus is on appreciating the style of your clothing and what makes you happy. Perfect advice. That is completely perfect. That's what we all want. That's what we all aim for. I wouldn't say that the subculture is always accepting. I would say that a lot of us are working to be more accepting, to be a welcoming place. I think it's important to acknowledge that there is a history of elitism and judgment and criticism, but moving forward, our aim should be to make Lolita fashion an accepting place, and that everyone should feel welcome to wear the fashion, and that it is, yes, it's about the clothes, it's about the fashion that you're wearing. Learn more about the subculture. You may enjoy reading the Gothic and Lolita Bible. Is anybody really reading it? I mean, you can use translation apps and you can read it if you have studied a lot of Japanese, but I guess there is English ones. But is anyone really reading it? People are just mostly looking at the outfit snaps and styled photo shoots for inspiration. Fruits magazine or following Lolita groups on Tumblr or Facebook. A friend of mine uses Tumblr for specific niche fandoms. She uses it for wrestling, and her Tumblr is like super active. And I'm curious, are there still Lolitas on Tumblr? I want to know. Is the scene fully dead? I feel like it's fully dead because so many of the people that I knew who were running Lolita Tumblr blogs stopped. And I personally deleted mine because so much of the information I feel is out of date, because I was running a Tumblr when I was just starting out in Lolita fashion, and I had a whole advice section, which I should maybe visit in a video, because I know that some of the advice I gave then, I've sort of learned and adapted, and I don't give the same advice now. I've been curious to come back to Tumblr. Is it worth it? Is there still a community there? Let me know. Or Facebook. I'm never coming back to Facebook. Bye-bye. There are a variety of magazines and other print publications for Lolita and other J fashion first published in Japan in the early 2000s, which have more recently been translated into a variety of languages, English including. I don't think that's correct. There is English versions of the Gothic and Lolita Bible, but they were not directly translated. They were somewhat interpreted, and then there's also additional articles that are more relevant to just the Western community. And there's only a few of them, and they're quite old now. So there isn't a lot that has been translated to English, unfortunately. Unless I'm not aware of them, but I love print publications. I love collecting them. It's one of my passions within Lolita fashion, is collecting print magazines, and I think that I would know if there was, but I don't think that there is. Allegedly, mistranslations in the English Gothic and Lolita Bibles led to strict rules in the Western Lolita community that were never enforced or believed in Japan. One example is a statement about not showing your knees in Lolita fashion. This is something I'd like to dive into more in another video. How these mistranslations could lead to rules and myths in Lolita fashion. Step 3. Head to an anime or J fashion convention. Lolita meetups are common in some areas, and it's often a good idea to search for a local community of Lolitas. Likewise, anime conventions and J fashion conventions are often places to meet fellow Lolitas. Many conventions have Lolita panels, meets, or swap meets where you can meet new Lolitas, socialize, and sometimes even buy Lolita items in person. Yes, this is great, perfect advice. I think it's always great to utilize in-person events. Even if you may be an introvert and you don't really want to go out or meet people, you want to be a Lolita on your own, sometimes finding your local community, they have like a Discord or a group that you can do online, so you can still be involved even if you don't want to go to in-person events. And there is a big document of communities that I will link in the description of this video that can help you find your local community. I have been feeling that conventions have been doing less and less Lolita fashion content. I don't know if it's just because, you know, the pandemic happened and then everyone's slowly getting back into things and Lolita fashion events are still starting up again, or if like the interest is dying out within the convention sphere. I'm curious to know your thoughts about that. Dress this way for yourself. The point of Lolita fashion in general is to have fun with your look. If someone doesn't like your coordinate, remember that you should listen. Wait, what? If someone doesn't like your coordinate, remember that you should listen to their criticism, but you still don't have to apply it. And of course, if someone doesn't like Lolita in general, that's their problem. I don't think you really owe it to someone to listen to their criticism. I've talked about this in much greater detail in videos about just criticism, but the Lolita fashion community has a history of feeling like criticism is an obligation, whether it's giving and receiving it. Like, you have to hear the person out, you have to critique people's outfits, and I don't think that that should be a thing at all. And if you want to give someone more suggestions on how to wear their main piece, I think that's totally valid. I think that it can be really helpful to share some ideas because maybe you thought of something that they haven't, but you shouldn't put down their existing coordinate. You should instead just offer more ideas. This is helpful because wearing your main piece multiple ways can keep you from having to consistently buy dresses. I do like the idea that if someone doesn't like Lolita fashion, it is their problem. Lolitas are often just explaining what the fashion is, and you don't have to win people over. You can just be like, this is my interest. You probably have your own interest, and that's great too. Then there is a list of terminology, which I have been making TikToks and YouTube shorts and reels about, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time going through all of them because I'm sure many of you already know these, and I can redirect you to my shorts about them. All of these are correct. This WikiHow article is wrapped up with knowing what to say to a Lolita, and it includes some bad terminology. Ita, which is a name used for someone's coordinate who is particularly bad or cheap. It comes from the Japanese word itai, which means ouch, which is painful or hurtful to look at. I feel like nowadays people don't really use Ita in a negative way. Most people like use it upon themselves or as a joke, or even like embrace it to try to make coordinates that are Ita or are bad and like mix around the idea of things that we deem to be bad Lolita and try to style it in a good way. It's been so long since I've heard someone in all seriousness be like, they're so Ita. But then again, I don't go on any forums, so. Bro-Lita, usually a cis male Lolita. This term is inaccurate and outdated because a male Lolita is simply a Lolita. Exactly, and I think that there are still people who embrace the term bro-Lita and want to use it, but that's not for you to decide. For someone else, if someone tells you that they want to be called that, then they can. I know that this term has been used in a derogative way, and it has also been used in a transphobic way. Again, gender really does not matter in Lolita. No matter what gender you are a Lolita, and if you want to identify yourself differently, it's up to you to choose that and to tell people, and not for you to assign to other people. Lace monster, a coordinate with excessive or cheap lace, also not nice to use, so refrain from using it even when you see others doing so. I've been told lace monster, and I also used it in the documentary that I did about Lolita fashion, but I've never actually seen anyone use the term lace monster. I feel like it's one of those leftover terms from the early 2000s that's like more of a myth. It's not really used anymore. I've never seen anyone use it. I've never heard anyone use it in sincerity. All in all, I'm still baffled about how accurate this WikiHow is. And it is actually a great resource to share with people. If you have friends in your life who want to learn the basics of Lolita, I think that it is a good source to give them. I probably should have included this in my current Lolita resources video. Of course, there are like slight nuances to it that I've addressed in both of these videos. It's pretty good, and I'm grateful and proud of whoever made this. Let me know if there's any videos that I have forgotten that you would like me to make, and as always, stay lovely.